Hello, good afternoon to those of you who are in the time zone where it is afternoon. My name is Will Rawls, and I'm professor of choreography at World Arts and Cultures Dance here at UCLA. Here to welcome you to our Discover Dance event, which is our annual event to communicate with you, prospective applicants to our undergraduate major in dance. Thank you for your interest in our program. I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement and then introduce our team. World Arts and Cultures Dance Department acknowledges the Tongva people as the traditional caretakers of Tovangar, which comprises the Los Angeles Basin and the South Channel Islands. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to work for the Tarahatom, which are the indigenous people in this place. As a land-grant institution, we pay our respects to Hanuk Vetam, the ancestors, Ahi Harom, the elders, and Eyu Hinkem, our relatives and relations, past, present, and emerging. The World Arts and Cultures Dance Department is housed within the School of Arts and Architecture at UCLA, which also comprises architecture, design, media arts, and visual arts departments. We've got about 15, 16 professors, even a larger group of lecturers and adjunct professors, and a staff that keeps things running. And we are housed within the Gloria Kaufman Hall, which is on the North Campus of UCLA. We've got 5 studios, 2 theaters, and all of these are ADA accessible. I'd like to introduce the other folks from WACD who are here to be with you to share information and then later on to answer your questions. And as questions come up, please drop them in the chat. And we'll get to them later. If we don't get to them, there will be a moment when we stop recording, invite you all in. And so be sure to ask those questions if we've somehow missed them. And I'll keep reminding you to drop your questions in the chat along the way. First off, I'd like to introduce Victoria Marks, another professor of choreography, who has tons and tons of information to share with you today. If you join us during your journey at WACD. We also have Ashley Pham, who is one of 2 academic advisors in the Student Affairs Office. And if you come be with us, you'll have a lot of crossover with Ashley. We also have students from our program. We have Sydney Richardson, we have Claire Cicerella, and Gurmukhi Bevli, who are all here, and they will be part of a student panel, which will be the longest portion, and they'll be answering questions for and with each other about the program and their experience and what stands out to them being students at WACD. And then we also have Laura Young, who is the Director of Enrollment Management in the School of Arts and Architecture. And she'll be walking through the application, the requirements, and other things to pay attention to as you work through your application. So again, we're going to start, please drop your questions in the chat, and we're going to start with a little video, which kind of gives you a sense and a feel of some of the movement practices that take place in the studio, what classroom vibes are like. You can get a look at the students and just start to imagine yourself here as well.
Five, 6, 7.
Really hold that stillness. So you rest and find stillness. Can you add that layer? Like, what's the sound of skirting?
should be thinking out loud. Don't just be just proud. Now they stuck in a corner. Here I am.
That just seemed to encapsulate or be iconic of the whole thing. Do you like yourself? What do you think? You know?
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. Here we go.
Great. I am a faculty member in the Department of World Arts and Cultures Dance. I'm a choreographer, and I'm serving as the vice chair for undergraduate studies. So folks see a lot of me. I want to tell you a little bit about the department. First of all, the faculty for the Dance BA and in the Department of World Arts and Cultures Dance, which we fondly call WACD, is a renowned faculty of artists. In addition to teaching, the artists who are your professors have active careers as innovators and visionaries in the professional field of dance. I know this is boasting, but I want to say our artist professors have won many of the highest awards in the arts, and one of the great pleasures of being a professor in WACD is my colleagues. So also, as Will said, WACD is a small department and a very large university. Our department houses 2 BA degrees, the Dance BA and the BA in World Arts and Cultures. And speaking just about the Dance BA, although it would be true for the BA in World Arts and Cultures, students in the dance major get to know one another quite well and become a creative and intellectual community from the very start. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the curriculum for the dance major. The curriculum is divided into dancing, which I think of as the studio-based practice of learning a dance form. Some of us may think about that as technique. Dance making, which is composition, and dance studies, which is critical thinking about dance and dance's place in larger society. So a few thoughts about the dancing piece of the BA degree, the movement practice. We ask our students to develop a proficiency in 2 of the following group of movement practices. There's modern, postmodern, hip hop, West African, and improvisation. So these are dance courses that we offer at the beginning, intermediate, and advanced level. In addition, we ask our students to also include in their practice ballet, yoga, martial arts, and as well as on a rotating basis, dance forms that include tap, Odissi dance, and contact improvisation, among others. We can tell you more about that if you have questions, but that gives you a brief intro to our dance practices. And then in terms of dance making, students are led through a series of courses that invite experimentation with movement vocabularies and compositional processes. And through these courses, we think about where dances can happen, as in not only on the stage, and the different ways in which dances make a relationship with audiences, spectators, or witnesses. So we try to crack open all of the possibilities of dance making, nearly impossible, but we go there. And then we ask, what happens when a person puts a dance they've created into the world? So in the dance making part of our curriculum, we make things up. And then in the dance studies, the third part of our dance curriculum, we might ask, what is this thing I call my body? Or how are bodies understood within different contexts? Or what forces contribute to my ideas about who I am? What histories do we, our bodies, ourselves, carry with us? And how does dance participate in, construct, support, and change community? I would say fundamentally, we're asking, why does dance matter? And of course, our answer is, it surely does. Just a couple of things I'd like to share with you about, more generally about education and the dance BA at UCLA. We are not a conservatory. Our BA program supports young dance artists to become creative, critical thinkers, and change makers in their chosen field and direction. And UCLA's general education requirements ensure that you as a student have a well-rounded liberal arts education as you also pursue deep study in dance. I know sometimes we go right to, well, what will happen after 4 years as a dance major at UCLA? And a couple of thoughts about that. Our graduates have gone on to become independent artists, to run dance companies, to perform in dance companies, to become leaders of nonprofit arts groups, to work in foundations on behalf of the arts and culture. We have had students become activists who are involved in environmental justice, in healthcare, in public service, and as arts educators in K-12 settings, just to name a few. Many of our students double major or take on one or more of UCLA's minors. And some popular minors include arts education, disability studies, global studies, food studies, and there are more. So I'll pause there and pass this on so that we can have our students talk to us a little bit about their experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vic. Yes, just to introduce the three students who are here with us to talk, we've got Sydney Richardson, Gurmukhi Bevli, and Claire Cicerella. Take it away.
Alrighty, hi everybody, I'm Sydney. Give me a thumbs up that you can hear me. I'm on campus, so awesome. You know, Hill Wi-Fi. But I'll be starting the panel and I'll be leading it with Claire and Gumi. And so I want to throw out the first question to the three of us. What was your dance experience prior to coming to UCLA?
I can go first. Can you all hear me? Yeah, okay, awesome. Before coming to UCLA, I am actually a second-year transfer student. So I transferred in from San Diego State University, and I studied dance there as well. And before that, I trained at Hubbard Street Dance Chicago for 10 years of my career. And I've also participated in a lot of dance troupes. I've taken a lot of classes and courses from a lot of the studios that are in the San Diego and LA area. And yeah, that's my previous dance experience.
I can go next. I didn't have much formal dance training. I was a rhythmic gymnast before coming to college, and I trained a little bit in Bharatanatyam as a child. But my plan was fully to go into the sciences. I was going to be a neuroscientist, and then it all kind of changed. So yeah, I think undergrad was my first real exposure to what movement and dance can really be.
Awesome. And for me, my prior dance experience all lied in LA. I'm an LA native, so shout out to all my LA natives out there. I grew up at a competitive dance studio, and then I went to a more rec studio. And then I also trained in summer intensives, one of which was like Dancerpalooza. And then closer to my like junior, senior year in high school, I trained with Santa Monica College in ballet and modern technique to prepare for college. Awesome. So my next question is, why did you choose UCLA? And anyone can answer this one first.
So I chose UCLA because I really wanted to have more of a wide range of movement that I could explore and experience. I also think that the critical theory that we apply in a lot of our classes is very relevant, especially if you're interested in any choreography practices. It can help with ensuring representation within dance, navigating appropriation, and also navigating a lot of cultural references that you want to be aware of as a mover. And then in addition to that, I just kind of fell in love with the studio space and how gorgeous the campus was. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. It has a lot of access to time for you to be able to work on your own movement practices as well as take, you know, a lot of movement classes that the program has to offer.
Bit different for me. I think it was the audition, the undergrad audition, that really sealed the deal. I think I fell in love with the department first and the university kind of much, much later. Yeah, there was a sense of real personalization. You felt very held by other people in the WACD space. Like, for example, just in the audition, they would use your name. They wouldn't just assign you a number and say, number 7, you're gonna dance now. It was just very, very personalized, and I felt just very safe. So I think it was probably the audition that made me want to come here.
I love these answers. I chose UCLA because one, it was the only non-conservatory program I applied to. And so that really sparked my interest. Additionally, just being able to not just study dance, but also perk my interest into interdisciplinary work. I'm also an African American Studies minor, so I'm really interested in bridging the two and how does Black dance, show up in the whole dance world. So yeah, just the ability to play around with different subjects and topics within my art. And then also, of course, UCLA gives the best financial aid. So that was a big thing for me. So that helped a lot. My next question is, what differentiates your experience of studying dance at UCLA compared to what you know of other school programs? I know this is a deep one.
Yeah. So coming from another school program, actually, I can comment on this pretty directly. I would say there are a lot of resources that are available through the dance program, and the lecturers and the faculty, as well as the students that are in attendance there, are very well connected in the realm of dance and arts in general. It's a wonderful place to be able to build networking. It's a great place if you're really interested in creating and performing. We do have we have a lot more access to just not only general studio space, but also performative opportunities. So we have a bunch of student-led organizations. One in particular that comes to mind is Wax Mash, which I'm a co-producer of this year. And it's a huge production that basically it's entirely student run. We have a lot of students who create, and then we have a lot of students who audition and then dance in the program, and it's all themed. And I just think that definitely sets it apart, because I think there are a lot of universities who are conservatory based where it's very training based, and then a lot of the performances can just purely be faculty performances, which I think can be a great opportunity, which we do offer as well. But I do think it's nice to be able to have a bit more of an autonomy as a student to put on some work and participate in other students' work.
I have some thoughts on this. I think in contrast to a lot of conservatory programs, there is definitely less performance opportunity within the department. And I think it's, from my experience, been designed that way because there's a lot more focus on building you as a dance maker, the individual, and understanding what dance can offer society. But I personally did not feel that that manifested as much as performances every quarter. It was more you were performing for your class, or you were performing for other people in the space. But in terms of a traditional, this is the stage and this is the audience and this is how dance is supposed to be. If you choose this program, you should be prepared to see less of that and have your notion of what performance is challenged a bit more. I just want to put that out there because, yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah, and for myself, I feel like the ability to really hone in on really interesting and deep topics, specifically when it came to critical dance studies, was different in our department than other programs I was looking into. Like I was able to take Black topics in dance, music and dance collaboration is something we also offer. So being able to expand my dancing into other realms was one of like the biggest things that made studying dance for me here more appealing. And then also in going to the point of Claire and Gumi in terms of performance opportunities, you can also really get involved. Luckily, Kaufman is right next door to Fowler Museum, which is a godsend. We have a cultural museum on campus, and through them, there's also another performance opportunity called Fowler Out Loud, where students can submit their own works. And so we've had dance students in the past, including one of my past professors, actually, when she was here as an undergrad, who've been able to put on their own shows there as well. And in addition to other opportunities on campus. So yeah, what is your focus in the major, Gumi and Claire, and how does that drive your coursework and school schedule? And for any of you who are unfamiliar with our focuses, those are creative inquiry as research, critical dance studies, and dance and civic engagement.
So my primary focus is, oh my gosh, where is it? Okay. It's creative inquiry as research. And then my secondary focus is dance and civic engagement. With the creative inquiry as research, I've been able to take class from an interim chair that we have usually, like once a year we have an artist that we bring in, and I had the pleasure of working with Jennifer Harge, who's a phenomenal and beautiful dancer, mover, artist. She's done a lot of work in museums for installation and exhibition work. And I was able to learn a lot of choreographic techniques from her. We even had several classes where we went to the beach and did performance there, which was really lovely. We worked closely with text and poetry, specifically the M Archive, which is a beautiful collection of work. And I've also had the pleasure of being able to work with faculty like Anne Carlson and perform in one of her pieces that was surrounding kind of climate change and the way that we navigate that. And then there's a lot of other opportunities as well within each of the focuses, but I really have enjoyed it so far because it's just kind of brought out meeting a lot of different people that I don't know if I would have worked with them had I not had a lot of these courses that were encouraged or required.
Feel like my primary focus was creative inquiry as research. And my secondary was critical dance studies when I was an undergrad. I took a senior project, which is a course you can take over 2 quarters, where you're kind of guided by a faculty member and allowed to create a small pocket of your own choreography. And that was one of my favorite experiences in the department. I felt like it kind of hit on all 3 focus groups for me because you were really seeing how performance makes its way into community spaces. You were also working as a kind of researcher and a dance scholar a little bit, and you were also, critically analyzing dance and figuring out how it's serving your purposes. So that one, if you come here, I highly recommend you look into senior projects. Changed my whole life. The reason I did grad school, highly recommend.
I love this. Similarly to Gumi, I actually also am focusing in creative inquiry as research and critical dance studies. I took for creative inquiry as research advanced improvisation and 174B, which is our Alma Hawkins chair in winter. Similarly to Claire, I had Julie Tolentino my freshman year. I took that class. And doing those 2 courses for creative inquiry as research was really informative to the rest of my training in the department thus far. As a junior, I do feel that because I took those classes earlier on, I was able to just be surrounded with so many opportunities of how to really think differently about why we do certain moves in our movement, and also why location and time and space matters in creation. And then with critical dance studies, I was able to take Feldenkrais with Professor Miguel Gutierrez. And I'm currently right now taking experiential anatomy and kinesiology with Professor Milka Georgievich. And oh my gosh, those classes as well. Just getting to know more about the body has also been really fundamental to my knowledge. I'm a visual learner, so getting to see all of the anatomy and also practicing these somatic practices have helped me get to know my dancing body as a mover, but also be more inquisitive and also focused when teaching and helping out with like younger students outside. All right, my next question is, if you have a second major or minor, what has that process been like for you, and how do you balance your degrees?
So I have 2 minors. I have an entrepreneurship minor and a film and TV minor. As a transfer student, I will say, if any of you are potential transfers, be wary that there are limitations to certain programs allowing even a second major. So that's just kind of a nice little warning. But for balancing my major as well as my 2 minors, especially with it just being my second year, it is a lot of work. I am taking a lot of units, but that's kind of how I function, is I usually am just a very busy being. So that for me feels very natural to be taking like up to 23, 25 units a quarter. And I balance it, it's kind of beautiful too, because I know Sydney mentioned interdisciplinary studies and kind of inviting like what other degrees that you're working within or other certifications that you're working within. And the beauty of the film minor as well as entrepreneurship minor is that there are fantastic ways to be able to tie them into the dance major, especially if you want to kind of conserve your dance making over long periods of time and understand grant writing processes, building up your own business. And then in addition to that, working within the entertainment industry, especially within LA. So all 3 of them together, honestly, have been such a blessing, because I've found a lot of really great opportunities among all of them. There's a lot of filmmakers I know who are always looking for dancers for music videos and whatnot. And then there's a lot of people in business that I know who are kind of constantly looking for people who know people in the entertainment industry and kind of having that direct contact to the artistry of it all. And then vice versa. I now have contacts with people who, I might need to source for my projects or for, future aspirations of mine.
25 units, I bow to you. That's amazing. Could never. When I was an undergrad, I tried double majoring in neuroscience. I did that for about 3 years. And I guess I'm a focus group for failure because it didn't work for me. I did the whole 22 unit quarter thing, and I do not mean to sound bitter, because it was also a personal choice that I made to pursue dance and to not do neuroscience. So that's on me. But I will say that the level of support you receive from the WACD department, the people, the community, the space, is not necessarily extended to the rest of the institution. And it is important to know that going in, because there's such a disparity sometimes between how you feel just pursuing your education in one place versus another within the same campus. So yeah, I'm happy if anyone has more questions to talk about my experiences as a potential neuroscience double, but I just want to put that out there, that the level of support you receive can vary. And so it just can get very mentally difficult to try and sustain 2 forms of study that are quite different from each other. Yeah.
Okay, as previously mentioned, I am an African American Studies minor, so I just started that this year. So I'm really doing those two together. And what's really cool about students in our department is almost every single person in undergrad is a double major or a triple major. Some of them are crazy and do all the sorts of, majors and minors. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you do it, Claire. But just know, like, if you are thinking about doing something like that, if you do end up choosing UCLA, it is totally normal. And there's so much support, not only from Ashley, who is our dance counselor, but also with the School of Arts and Architecture, with our counselors there. And yeah, the process for me, at least in my experience, was very easy in declaring my minor. I simply went to my School of Arts and Architecture counselor and showcased like how far I've gotten in the dance major and how I plan to finish my minor before I graduate in 2025. And yeah, they helped me a lot with planning and scheduling and making sure that it's a breeze and not too crazy. All right, my next question for the three of us is, what was your experience with the faculty and graduate students? Like, have you been able to work with them in any capacity or seek out any knowledge from them in your own time?
I'm sorry, repeat the question again. You cut out a little bit.
Oh, no. Okay. The question was, what has your experience been like with the faculty and graduate students?
Oh, I would say honestly, the graduate students, even the PhD students, are very well integrated into a lot of the courses. I've actually like really enjoyed having them there because a lot of them do end up TAing, specifically the grad students. And so you kind of get to know them through that dynamic, but a lot of them do have pieces, which is another performance opportunity that once you get to know them, you've been kind of like in classes with a few of them over the like year or two, you get to kind of like work with them as well and bring their pieces to life. And we had Brendan Drake last year. He was phenomenal, had an incredible performance, and it was really eye-opening. I have definitely enjoyed being able to also work so closely with the faculty. I have coffee meetings and like try to like join their classes if they offer any classes outside of campus. And there's just a very easy way to kind of connect with them, even going up to them and being like, hey, like, I just want to know what to do post-graduation, or I want to know what to do while I'm here. Like, what do I do? There's a lot of guidance. And I would say that that goes for all of the students, all of the ranges of the students, as well as the faculty. So there's a lot of resource there. You just have to like brave it out and go up to them and be like, hey, this is me. I want to talk with you. So I would say it's been a fabulous experience so far.
I'll second that. I think the faculty really make the department for me. It's pretty insane because you have these people who are like at the top of their respective fields, but they're treating you just like people, which is sometimes really just staggering if you're coming in at like 17 and this person whose career you've been following and you've been looking up to is just like, hi, you can call me Vic. It's a bit just it makes you feel very, very comfortable, and it really enhanced the learning experience for me because I never felt scared to make mistakes in a class space, and that is really, really important. In terms of grad students, gee, I must have liked them too because I came back as one, and yeah, it's really, really fun. You do get to meet a lot of undergrads, and I think Wax Smash especially is a place where you really get to see that creative capacity unlocked, and it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of interconnection.
Oh, awesome. Similarly to Claire and Gumi, I've had a lot of hands-on experience with their faculty and graduate students. To mention a few, because I know we're short on time, I was able to be in an MFA capstone show my freshman year through my sophomore year. We performed it, and that was really amazing to get to be a part of that process with a graduate student. I also have been able to have internships with some of my professors outside of school, work with them on their own pieces, get connected to other companies through them. So really, like Gumi had mentioned, our faculty are just a wealth of knowledge, and so are our graduate students, and getting to know all of them really does set you up, I feel like, not just as an individual and an artist, but also career-wise into where you want to go in the future. So yeah, that was our student panel. So thank you guys so much for listening to us. I'm going to pass it on to Will, who will be talking about our admissions process.
Wow, thank you, Sydney, Claire, Gramuki. That was really informative for me too, because I'm also new to the community. So it's really nice to hear people who've been here longer than I have as well. Lots of great information there. Okay, so moving right along, I'm actually going to pass it off to Laura Young, who is going to be talking through just the nuts and bolts of the application process, excuse me. Laura, take it away.
All right, here we go. Okay, let me share the screen. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and watch this. Okay, I have this. Okay. All right, it's nuts and bolts time. So this is the undergraduate admission procedure because it is super different than applying to UCLA. But just to kind of start big and then zoom in, just in case anybody is not clear, we are UCLA. Sometimes that happens, but we are one of the professional schools on campus. So we kind of have a place at the university, and the entire university, we are 100 years old and some change. We are on 419 acres. We're actually the smallest acreage-wise of all of the UC campuses, and we have the most people. So our enrollment is around 32,000 undergraduate students, and the rest are graduate students. So there are around 40,000 people on campus. And then 125 plus undergraduate programs, 130 plus graduate programs. We have many, many faculty, and we have a big library. So we're actually the second largest library in the United States under the Library of Congress. And the majority of people who apply to UCLA coming straight at the undergraduate level are applying in the College of Letters and Science. And then with the professional schools, we have a slightly different application procedure. So the three professional schools for the arts at UCLA are Theater, Film, and Television, the Herb Alpert School of Music, and the School of Arts and Architecture, which is where we are. And so every UC campus is composed a little bit differently depending on what they offer in the arts. UCLA has been called the flagship campus for the arts in the UC system. And this is kind of a combination of our location being in Los Angeles, which is an international arts marketplace, and just the attention and the structure that is paid to our academic programs in the arts. While we are only about 3% of the applicant pool, we take up about 30% of campus with our buildings. So we have a pretty significant footprint. And then in terms of arts and architecture, again, we have a really modestly sized student population. So here are the 5 undergraduate majors in architectural studies, art, design media arts, and world arts and cultures. And then dance, we have 110 undergraduate students total. And our total school enrollment, when we take into consideration everybody, undergrads, graduate students, and doctoral candidates, it's around 900 people. So we're kind of the size of a conservatory or an art school, but just at UCLA. How to apply, how the admissions process works is that it's a direct entry process. So again, this is really unique to UCLA. All of the other UC campuses will do things in different ways. We're the only UC campus that has a very established supplemental application that is required for all of our arts programs. So if you are applying to, say, the biology major or undeclared, it's just the general UC application. For all of the arts at UCLA, we're asking for a supplement, and you can actually turn that supplement in directly to the department. And that's a really significant aspect of our admission, because when we get the supplement, our departments will actually review. Our departments, our faculty, our communities are going to be reviewing the supplement, and they are the first ones who make an admission recommendation to general campus, primarily based on your supplement, your creativity, your audition portfolio for the visual arts. And then undergraduate admission comes in to verify minimum academic eligibility. So there is more flexibility with the academics. I imagine there is at least one person in the room who might be slightly terrified to apply to UCLA because it's like, oh my gosh, I have to have like a, like 8.11 GPA in order to get in. For us, there is a different kind of balance here. So for academic requirements, if you are applying from high school, the GPA that is going to keep you in the game is a 3.0 if you're a California resident. If you are out of state or international, it's a 3.4. We need to see the A through G curriculum. This is a California thing. If anybody here is from out of state or international, this is a series of coursework, like 4 years of English, 3 years of math. You can find it on the University of California website. And those are the courses that we're generally looking for. And then we don't do standardized testing. The UC system dropped the SAT and ACT requirement a couple of years ago. So it's not a part of applying to the University of California. And even when it was, we didn't really put a lot of weight on it over here. And for transfers, whether you're coming from a community college or another 4-year, we are looking for a 3.0 GPA. If you are a sophomore level transfer, and if anybody has any, this gets a little bit nitty gritty. So if anybody has any questions about transferring, I'd be happy to help in the Q&A or afterwards. But generally, this is what we're going to be looking for academics. A 3.0, like that will make sure that we can admit you. And there is that kind of interplay between the creative part and the academic preparation. So the application procedure, it's one application. It happens in 2 parts or 2 steps, as long as I'm talking to dancers. So the general UC application is the one that is due November 30th. There is no creative component to this in the sense that, no audition videos or anything like that at that point. The one thing that you do need to do is when you are selecting UCLA as one of your destination campuses, list dance as your first choice major. Because UCLA will only look at your first choice major. And we need to see that you are applying to dance as your first choice major. So if you're thinking, I'd love to double major, I'm going to put psychology for my first choice and dance is my second choice, but I want to audition for dance, you have to flip that around if you want access to the dance supplement. And then the second step is the dance supplement, and that one is due on December 15th. So for the dance supplement, all of this is going to be uploaded through SlideRoom. So the things that you do not have to worry about are re-entering any academic history, activities and awards, or personal insight questions. These are the 3 sections that we import from your UC application. So you don't have to do any of that work. We're going to take care of it on the back end. So we are going to see your transcripts, all of your grades, what courses you've taken, everything you've done outside of the classroom, and also your general personal insight questions. And then with the department statement that you're going to turn in SlideRoom, there is a department statement, there's some videos, there is a multimedia self-portrait, and there's an optional experience resume. So for the department statement, this is specific to the dance major, and you can choose one of these 2 questions to respond to, and they're about the same length as the personal insight questions. So we want to hear about how does your connection to your community shape the way you move through the world, or what is something that you care deeply about outside of dance. So this is kind of part and parcel of us wanting to know kind of who you are as a person, your character, your identity, that all kind of ties and relates back to dance and how dance ties to that. Vic or Will, do we have anything to add there as we go?
Laura, this is Vic speaking. This is great. And I only want to add that we have not got some cookie cutter idea about who our incoming transfer and freshman students are, or who you should appear to be. We are, and as you can tell from these questions, we're really interested in you as a person, that dancing is a part of who you are. And so that is why we formulated these two questions. We want to help you build some dimension about how you think about yourself in the world. And of course, this question about how does your connection to your community shape the way you move through the world? This notion of community, it's a wide open question. You know, it's an opportunity to think about, what is your community? Is it your family? Is it your dance team? Is it a faith-based group? What is it that how do you identify with community, and how does it also shape the way you behave in the world? And just also to lastly say that we're interested in seeing your curiosity, we're interested in feeling like you're an engaged person, that you're active in your attention, that you want to know more, and you're reflective about your life. So that's why these questions. Thanks, Laura, for that opportunity to pipe in.
Yeah, thanks, Vic. Will, I'm going to call on you next when I talk about the dance videos, because this is kind of this is where we actually get to see you move. So there are 2 dance videos that we ask for. There is a 60-second choreography video and a 30-second movement video. And there's also a brief written summary that's associated with these, like super short. And then just I'll just cover some housekeeping and then pass it off to you for the more fun stuff. But what we are generally, we want to video static frame or tracking shot, which is totally fine. Video your entire phrase in a single take without interruption. And please don't edit. Any visual editing like cuts, fades, zooms, special effects, titles, captions. We really just want to see the video kind of less is more. And then if you're using music or sound, please provide the credits. What else?
What else? Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm going to take the movement video first, which is the shorter of the 2 videos, and describe here. It could be any kind of dance that you feel really excited about, something that you're studying, something that really says a lot about who you are, and it can be taken from something that you're looking at on social media, another person's choreography, but something that really. It can come from any dance style, any tradition. It could come from a faith-based experience that you're having. If it could come from anywhere. And again, we want you to think dynamically about what this could be and what this could show us about who you are as a dancer and as a mover. And then the longer of the 2 videos, which is the 60-second choreography video, it's really important that you show us a piece of choreography that you have made yourself. So, if you feel more comfortable working with someone else's choreography, do that in the movement video as a way to show us how you move. In the longer video, we want to see how you've crafted something together from your own imagination, from your influences, but that is a piece of choreography in your own voice. And again, I think, the big message in our department is we want to see your originality. This choreography video could happen in a park, it could happen in a kitchen, it could happen in a dance studio, it could happen many places that really show us who you are, and just make sure that we can see it clearly, and it follows all the guidelines that Laura laid out. No special effects, no Marvel characters and things like that, just the choreography. Okay, passing it back to you.
Okay. All right. And then the next requirement is a self-portrait multimedia project. And this is a portrait of yourself as an introduction to the World Arts and Cultures / dance community. So, and this also ties into the theme of us wanting to know who you are as a creative person and as an artist. And many of you do other things outside of dance, and we'd like to know about it. So this isn't necessarily a like a skill base. Like we don't need to know if you are a really good writer or a poet or a painter or a good musician. We're not like judging it for that. We want to know more about your story and how you express yourself. So try to have a little bit of fun. And this is one multimedia file. So either in a video, sound, or both. One PDF, which is a space where you can put writing, poetry, visual artwork, photography, or both. You can submit the multimedia file and the PDF if you want to.
I'm just going to jump in quickly. If you do submit a video for this can be edited. This can have special effects, especially if that's part of your creativity.
Thank you.
That's where you can go to town.
All right. And then optional, if you want, an experience resume. So even though the UC application, if you're entering in activities and those elements, sometimes a lot of you have an experience resume that's formatted very particularly and has more experiences of you as a performer, a choreographer, as a teacher. So we wanted to create an optional space for that. And again, it's like truly, truly optional. So if it's not there, it will not ding you in any way, shape, or form. This is just a space that we provide because we know sometimes the UC application and the way that they format things might not quite work for you. So this is a place where you can kind of like wiggle around a little bit more. And then just who are you writing for? Just because we do see the personal insight questions that you're turning in with the UC application. And just to clarify, like those personal insight questions, especially if you're applying to multiple UC campuses and or applying to other UCs in different majors. So we understand that that kind of writing you have to think about who your audience is going to be for that. So we know that your writing might be a little bit more expansive, kind of taking a lot of non-dancers, like this is going to go out to different UC campuses, and readers typically do not have a background in dance or the arts overall. So you're going to adjust your vocabulary and kind of adjust your audience format in that way. And then for the UCLA Dance Supplement, you're absolutely talking to dancers. So hopefully that helps you feel a little bit more comfortable. You can certainly adjust your vocabulary, your word, your wording, your phrasing, and know that you're really focusing on speaking to other dancers. And if there is anything in your personal insight questions that you feel is going to be useful for your dance supplement, then feel free to do that. If we see kind of crossover information, it's absolutely 100% fine. This is a lot of writing and you're applying to other schools. So we're not going to judge if you're like cutting and pasting a little bit over here. We just want the information to come to us. And then just my own personal tip and a resource that I really like, because if you don't have a lot of experience writing about your movement practice, which doesn't always happen in classrooms, and sometimes you just need more words, I really like Dance Magazine, like a lot. Like I also recruit for the visual arts programs, and I still tell people read Dance Magazine because they have this section on career advice and the creative process. So if you go into their search bar and just look up the creative process, then it pulls up a tag, and there's all of these like amazing profiles of dancers. It's really inclusive. A lot of them are talking about their dance as well as other creative things that they do. And the reason that I found this was I was looking up a countertenor singer, like an opera singer who is also a hip hop artist. And he was talking about that intersection, and pretty much all the interviews are like that. So if you just need help with like words and language, it's fabulous. And then there's the contact information for the office in case you have any questions. arts.ucla.edu/apply is the site where we have all of our information. And there is my email address. I know it looks like a general address, but I do read it. It comes directly to me. So if you have any questions, there we go. All right.
All right. Well, that I'm being mindful of time. I know we had a little bit of an interruption, but it's past 2 o'clock, so I know all of us have the rest of our Saturday to do things with. But if there are any more questions that are at the top of mind right now, please feel free to drop them in the chat or chime in after we stop the recording. And I'm happy to stay on for another few minutes to take care of those. Otherwise, Laura, who was just speaking, is a great person to contact with additional questions. Gurmukhi just dropped a handle in the chat, which you can also use for contact. I'll also drop my email in the chat, so you can hit me up. And if I can't answer your question, I'll pass it on to Laura. So yeah, I guess just again, I want to thank everyone on our team for being here and for just sharing so much wonderful information and painting the portrait of our incredible program. But yeah, anyone else got questions for now?
Shall we, this is Vic speaking, shall we end the
yeah.
recording so that we can just
Okay,
have
will do. Okay, we're no longer being surveilled. So, all right, here we go.